In Austin, I'm Quita Culpepper. President Donald Trump's spending bill sparked a debate among lawmakers, including those representing Texas. Republican House members praised the bill as putting Texans first. Democrats argued that the legislation will harm the state's most vulnerable populations. The bill fulfills some of President Trump's campaign promises, including no taxes on tips and overtime, plus roughly $4 trillion in tax cuts. It includes slashes to Medicaid and SNAP and introduces new work requirements to qualify for those programs. The Congressional Budget Office says some 11.8 million Americans could lose their health insurance coverage because of the bill's steep cuts to Medicaid. Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett represents part of Austin. He says this bill will have a harmful impact on low-income families and rural health care providers.
If you look at the analysis that's been done, those who are at the lower level, who are still struggling to work their way up into the middle class, they get less. They actually have cutbacks as a result of this bill, and those at the top get millions of dollars. So it seems to me to be very inequitable.
In a statement after the vote, Congressman Michael McCall said it will benefit hardworking families, saying, quote, "The one big beautiful bill delivers on their mandate by funding President Trump's border security efforts, bolstering the Department of Defense at a crucial time in history, and making permanent the largest tax cut in history," end quote. The bill includes $13.5 billion to reimburse border states, including Texas, for funds spent on border security efforts. Austin police are taking action to curb the increase of mail theft in the city. In a memo sent to the mayor and city council, Austin police leaders say the number of mail thefts went up nearly 30% from 2022 to 2023. Department leaders want officers to meet with communities to talk about concerns for individual neighborhoods and develop tailored plans. APD will also develop a web page with resources for victims of mail theft, including how to report the thefts and steps to protect yourself after your mail is stolen. An Austin man wants the city to pay up after he drove into water on the roadway and ended up in a 5-foot deep sinkhole. Now, that sinkhole was caused by a water main break, and neighbors say it's not the first time a water main break has created hazards on that same central Austin street. Here's investigative reporter Jenny Lee.
So the last time you drove on this street was when?
It's been a while.
If Avery Matthews has to drive on 49th Street near Shoal Creek Boulevard,
I would probably drive on this side of the road. I know that seems a little crazy.
He avoids this part because after what happened to him,
It felt like something was sucking me in like in a vacuum.
Avery's not taking any chances.
It just sucked you in.
On the night of April 1st,
I noticed just some water in the road, and I called 311. And as I continued down the road, my truck gave way, and then this is where it actually sunk right here.
a sinkhole partially swallowed his truck. Austin Water says a water main break created the sinkhole, taking crews about a day and a half to replace a broken section of the water main and to fix damage to water valves. Water had to be shut off for 8 hours.
It was loud. It was loud.
Rosedale neighbors remember.
All of a sudden, we could hear all this water flowing into the creek.
Oh my God, it was just so much water coming out of the ground. It was an amazing amount of water.
According to Austin Water, a little more than 500,000 gallons of water were lost.
It just breaks there all the time.
Denise Ketchum says water main breaks happen so often.
We call it Old Faithful.
They have a nickname. Why do you call it Old Faithful?
Because sometimes when it breaks, it's just shooting straight up in the air like the geyser at Yellowstone.
She shared a picture of Old Faithful back in 2007. In 2016, a garbage truck got stuck in a sinkhole, just like Avery. We asked Austin Water just how many water main breaks have occurred here on 49th Street and Shoal Creek Boulevard. It turns out, since 2000, there have been 9. But the break that created a sinkhole in April caused thousands of dollars worth of damage to Avery's truck. He asked the city of Austin to pay for it. He filed a liability claim with the city. The city denied it, stating that under state law, the city of Austin and Austin Water are immune from liability in this case. The city of Austin also denied our request for an on-camera interview. Instead, spokesperson Eric Johnson sent the statement. The city reviews all claims it receives and determines how to proceed based on the individual facts in each case and the applicable law. We wanted to know how many claims the city receives. Records obtained by the KVUE Defenders show Avery's claim was one of 310 filed as of May of this year. They also show the city of Austin received hundreds of liability claims per year, more than 4,500 total since the beginning of 2020. The types of claims range from negligence to liability in auto accidents, street conditions, and property damage. The data also shows the city has denied 2,849 of them, or 63%, and paid for damages on 749 of the claims, or 16%. 77 claims have resulted in lawsuits since 2020.
Unfortunately, really are not a lot of options.
Austin attorney Roger Borgelt says sovereign immunity generally protects the government and its agencies and officials from lawsuits. But under the Texas Tort Claims Act, there is one exemption where cities are liable for property damage.
You're in an auto accident with a government employee, government vehicle. They're operating during their course of business as a government employee. The waiver means that you can sue them and receive compensation for damage to the vehicle or damage to yourself.
But what if the city knew about the issue years beforehand, like in Avery's case, where water main breaks happened in the same stretch of road 9 times in the span of 25 years? Borgelt says it doesn't matter.
It doesn't play a role precisely because the law is written the way that it is. It simply limits your ability to make a claim.
But Roger, is this fair?
It's not fair to the particular individual who was injured, I would say. It's probably, in some sense, fair to the taxpayers so that you and I are not being saddled with paying all of these claims.
Avery disagrees
I think that's kind of silly.
and says he wasn't the only one with damaged property. Kimberly Osborne's home is on the corner of 49th and Shoal Creek. The day of April's sinkhole,
So there was just a ton of water flowing into our garage. And
her garage flooded. She says there was so much water, she couldn't leave her home for a couple of days.
I couldn't get my car out of my garage.
If the city's not going to pay for it, what should they do?
Put in the proper infrastructure so that it doesn't happen again.
According to Austin Water, there is a capital improvement project underway to replace water and wastewater lines here in the Rosedale neighborhood. But construction for that project doesn't start until late 2026.
Yes, obviously very frustrated.
All Rosedale neighbors can do now is wait and hope another water main break doesn't happen before the capital improvement project is complete.
I would just like people to take accountability for the actions at the end of the day.
For the KVUE Defenders, I'm Jenny Lee.
And those are the headlines happening in Austin. I'm Quita Culpepper.